This is my second Sit with Scale book discussion. So I'm really excited about that. I think it keeps growing. The excitement keeps growing for it. So I definitely thank you guys for joining. Um, I hope I have given you, Ashley, enough praise and thanks. And I hope you have felt my gratitude for joining me on this journey. So that is my co-host. I will let her introduce herself and then we can go through everything that we're gonna do tonight on this Zoom call.
Yeah, thank you so much, Skell. I'm just super, super excited to be here. And thank you so much. I love reading. I used to work in a library when I was from 14 to 18. And so like this was like such a good like remembrance of me and all these books from back in the day. So thank you for asking me to sit with you. Um, hey everybody, I'm Ashley Gilmore. I am a licensed clinical mental health counseling associate here in Durham. I'm a clinical coordinator at a mental health agency, and I own my own private practice, Gilmore Counseling and Consulting Services. I am a wife and a mom, and I like people, so I'm just happy to be here. And I'm really really excited to get into the book. It's been on my wish list for a while, so it's good that like you chose this book for this month, and so I can knock it off my I read it list. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you again for joining me. So,
Yeah.
just a little bit about Sit with Scale for people. It started at the beginning of every year. I choose a certain amount of books I want to read for the year. So, the year before I chose 12, one for each month, but because of life and business, I actually ended up reading 10. So I wanted to match that this year. And now I'm on 9 because of COVID and not having literally anything to do but read. So now I'm on 9. So who knows where I'm going to be by December. But I would post, book number 1, book number 3, book number 8. And people were, I guess, just as bored as I was, asking for book recommendations. And so it went from writing these long dissertations in people's DMs and stuff. I'm like, what is a better way to let people know like what I'm doing, what I'm reading. So I started with the videos, and they have gotten a lot of attention, which is I did it out of the love, but then people were really into it. I started a YouTube channel, Sit with Scale. So please, if you can, follow Sit with Scale on YouTube. Subscribe. Sorry, use the right verbiage. Subscribe to Sit with Scale on YouTube. I really would appreciate it, and share it with your friends. Share I'm gonna switch over my Instagram to Sit with Scale, so it's gonna be just this whole big branding thing that I'm really really excited about. So thank you. Yeah, so if you guys want to ever screenshot or tell what we're doing on your social media platforms, please hashtag Sitting with Scale. Sitting with Scale and Ashley definitely would be great. um so more than enough. The reason why I chose this book, because it is I think it's definitely a life-changing book. It's like on that definitely path of life-changing book. The host, the writer Elaine, is literally like the same age as I am. And I'm like, if she can do all these things, editor, the youngest editor of Teen Vogue magazine. She was a trailblazer. I mean, she's African American, and so we know how it was growing up with magazines and looking at things that did not look like us. And so somehow she broke into that field and became the powerhouse that she is. And so it's like, I don't know, you have to read about it. And like, one thing that I said that I really love is the quotes that she used in the book. Like I could tell, she cared and was passionate about what she was writing. But the quotes that she chose were like life changing in themselves as well. So we're going to go over 3 themes tonight. And, I'm going to read an excerpt from the book, especially for people who haven't read the book. So you can kind of get where we're going. I'm going to let Ashley speak and about, the topics, and then you guys can chime in. But I also wanted to make sure I read the quote that goes along with our theme, because like I said, they're just amazing. And that's why, before you joined, I gave you guys the bookmarks where you can write quotes from books, because they really is a really good thing to go back and reference when you are, in your thing and you're trying and you're working hard, right? So we'll go ahead and get started. Our first theme is Your dreams are calling. So this quote is by Ayana Van Zant. Y'all know Auntie, Auntie Ayana. So it's time for you to move, realizing that the thing you are seeking is also seeking you. All right. I just landed a dream internship at one of my favorite magazines. This was good enough for me. I babbled off a much more professional version of this to Harriet when she asked what I was doing next in life. May I give you a piece of advice, she offered? Of course, please, I said. If you know what you want, ask for it and be specific. You might just get it. Damn, she was right. So at this point in this book, Elaine was meeting with Harriet, who she ended up working with, even though she had her dream internship. So she got into the like a lifestyle piece when she really wanted to be in the fashion piece, but she didn't ask, to specifically be in the fashion piece. And so they just, gave her whatever, was left over. And so Harriet was telling her, if you didn't want this, and you should have asked for the fashion piece if that's what you wanted. And so, Ashley, I just wanted you to speak on, going after exactly what you want, going after your dreams, even, in the spaces where it might be hard to, go after those things.
Yeah, I think Elaine brings up a really good point. I actually also, so I'm not an Ayala fan, let me be honest. And I think because we see like she gives off this therapist vibe and she's a life coach, and so I take it personal. But even her quote, it's time for you to move, realizing that the thing you are seeking is also seeking you. I think our destiny is seeking us, but sometimes we're so afraid to go out and get it that like our destiny is just waiting on us to find it. And it's there. We're so afraid that we kind of take our time. And like I think this year has shown us that like I don't know if we have time for anything anymore. Like it's now is the time to go out and do it. And so I think what Elaine exemplifies for us, especially as Black women, is to basically say what you need to say and be firm in that, and we can move mountains. Black women across the world are changing the scope of social media and therapy and book conversations, all from one conversation with another girlfriend. And I think Elaine does a good job of hearing basically say like, if you want it, like ask for it. And I think we can do the same thing. And I think we have to empower each other to do that. I think for generations, we've been taught to be quiet and to just kind of sit back. And I think we now have the opportunity to like say what we need to say and be firm in that and do really, really good work with that. So this, just like the part that you read was like, yeah, I need to be making some moves. I need to be saying more than I'm already saying. Yeah.
I agree that part, when I'm doing this, I'm like looking like what hits, especially if I haven't read the book, what is going to hit. And so I felt the same way. Like that part definitely gave me goosebumps.
Yeah.
Does anybody have anything to add or an experience? Even if it's, hey, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, or I did do this, I did do that. Does anybody have anything to add to that? So I think, with Sit with Scale, like kind of what you were saying, like my motto, my unspoken motto for 2020 is like, it's 2020, I should do it now. Like I better do it now, because like you literally do not know what is going to happen in this world. You don't know who's going to be here today, unfortunately, who's not going to be here tomorrow. And so I've just gotten to the point where I'm just like, I might as well say, what I want to do what I want to do. And so with Sit with Scale, it's just like just really follow my dream. Like all this is like a passion piece for me. Like, I'm not getting paid for this stuff yet, but it's just so important to me. I just love it so much that like at this point, I don't have to, I don't need to. It's just been, you know, a joy to do, and to do it in my way.
Yeah. I love that you said I'm not getting paid for this yet. I love that. I love that because you're already speaking something into existence. And I think, again, like you've already asked for it, you've created a plan for it. And I think we can all, like, you're a great example of like, if you want something, you go out and you create it. So I think that's, you're an example. You're our current, we can get to you, Elaine.
Yeah, you can get to me. Which I think is important. And even, you know, some people, even on this call, like I've reached out to, I'm like, you know, I see you here. And even though I'm not there yet, like I'm not, I don't think I'm too big. I don't think I'm, you know, better than anything to just ask for help, to reach out, especially like with YouTube being like just a platform, like I was saying, I'm just not used to. And it's very intimidating. And so like, I'm like, okay, well, let me look and see who I know is doing this thing, who is good at it. And all right, I'm going to reach out to you and tell you that I need help. Like, I'm not going to be too big. I'm not going to be too proud to say like, I have no idea what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, that's great. I think, again, as Black women, that like we carry the world on our shoulders. And so sometimes it's like, you know what, if nobody else is going to do it, I'm going to do it. But I think, again, we've gotten to the point where we're using our voices to basically say, like, I need help. I can't do this alone, but I got this dream and I want to do it. So help me.
Yeah, right. So help me, please.
So help me. Yeah.
Okay. So, before I move on, does anybody have anything that they want to add?
Y'all lit in the chat.
I know, right? Let me read something. I hope you said this so I can read it. I have a lot of should be's, but my procrastination is sideways face. So I'm hoping to definitely have a boost of motivation. Yes, boost of motivation from this sit with Skell. Yeah, I definitely agree. And like Ashley was saying, like we gotta motivate each other. Like I was saying, like reach out to each other and bounce ideas off each other. I hope I guess, you know, my demeanor has been inviting enough where people give me suggestions all the time. I sent the email out and somebody was like, hey, suggestion, do it like this. And I'm like, cool. Like I'm not, you know, gonna already say I'm an expert, because I'm definitely not. I'm learning along the way, and it's just been a fun experience. So I'm definitely open to sharing whatever little bit of knowledge I have, and also open to suggestions from anybody.
Yeah.
So we have a giveaway. Our first giveaway is a Barnes & Noble gift card. So if you have not read this book, you can get it, or any book of your choice, okay? So I have everybody's name. And let me see. This one here. Up. Stacy. Stacey Harris. Okay, girl. Our first person wasn't here. That's why I chose another. That's why I chose another. They don't think I was just like, I'm not showing favoritism because she a Ram or anything.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, so I hope you guys gave me your addresses when you signed up for the Sit with Scale form, because that's the way I'm going to send you guys your stuff. So if you did not, please make sure, you know, you DM me, or, you know, send me a text or whatever if you need to have my, so I can have your address. All right, so we're going to move on to the next theme. This one was for me. If it wasn't for anybody else, it was for me, okay? This chapter was called the Ride or Die Syndrome. And it's for me. This is not for you guys, it's for me. So here's a quote. If your boyfriend has you sitting in the back seat for anyone but his mother, he's not the one. Period. The end. That quote is by Elaine's mother. I just thought it was so amazing because mamas know. All right, so I was being brainwashed into believing that women are often casualties of our own relationships, and that bending ourselves to make romance work is just part of the deal. No matter the song or movie or ill-fated anecdotes from my peers, the messages all seem similarly detrimental for women. Ride or die, hold your man down, deal with the drama and the crap and the pain, ride out the bumps till the wheels fall off. But I never broke up with him. The groany lane wants to yell, leave him now, it will only get worse. But instead, teenage me would commit my first cardinal relationship mistake one too many girls make. It hurts, but he'll change. That is me. That's me. That's me. Ashley, go ahead, girl. You want to talk about it?
So I'm gonna talk about my husband. So I met my husband when I was in high school. So like toward the end of my junior year. So we've been together for 20 years. But my husband, I did have some boyfriends. And child, let me tell you, them ninjas didn't need to be nowhere near Ashley, and Ashley didn't need to be nowhere near them. And my friend ironically put up the other day, what are 3 things that you would tell your younger self? And I put, he's not it, because like they not it, like her first love is a like I think she compared him to like Bow Wow and Trey Songz. And so like you got this vision of like this nice curly hair and like light skin with abs and all of that, and like the face can fool you, but the character, honey, he is not it. And I think so I'm raising daughters, and when I read this chapter, it was really important to me to be able to tell them what my mother didn't tell me. And not that she probably couldn't, but I don't think it was a subject that we talked about. But like, if you got to sit in the back seat, he not worth it. Like if he is ignoring you at the games, he's not worth it. If he wants to be more with his friends, he's not worth it. The fact that she even stayed with him after he played her after leaving the grocery store that day, like he's not it. And so for me, it was more about how we can boost our self-esteem at 15 so that when we're 30 and 40, we're not struggling to still try to develop like this yearning that we are lacking in some capacity. And not that we're not strong, independent women, but sometimes that 15-year-old self surfaces as we're grown women. And if we could go back and say like, he's not it, like you are more than enough at 15 and hold on to that, I think it can make a big difference. And so, yeah, like if you got to sit in the back seat, baby girl, he not worth it. And I'm envisioning her riding in the back seat with her homeboy in the front, and then he didn't roll up the window. No, I would have been like, nah, he got to go. But and she didn't talk about sex, but like if he was her first, that like adds a whole different layer to it, So yeah, I think if I could tell my 15-year-old self, like he's not it, and you are more than enough at 15, I could be potentially stronger at 37 because of those 3 words. Yeah.
Where does that come from? So there's another part, right? Mm-hmm. And then, I want to read that part too, because it kind of, where does that come from? Like, why do we think like, if we aren't riding it out, if we aren't doing that, then we're failing as women or failing in the relationship. So this part says, as they say, relationships are hard, right? Even my mom said you have to work at love. Plus, she chose to stay with my dad through all his painful mistakes. Every day in my own household, I watch how loyalty and forgiveness function, even through dysfunction. These were my very first formative lessons in love. So it's like, okay, the same woman who was saying, if you riding in the back seat, he's not the one, is the same woman who, this will lead you to believe is forget or, working through forgiving infidelity or forgiving, him putting his wife in the back seat of, you know, his life and stuff like that. So it's like, when do we learn when this is better to this is the stuff that you can work out, this is the stuff that you shouldn't work out, and then, you know, all the do as I say, not as I do, which we all have learned that it doesn't work. So like, where, like, how do we do that? Like, how do we decipher, and where does it come from?
Yeah, that's a great question. I definitely think it's generational. You know, so again, her mom is holding on to her dad and his alcoholism and his lack of not working. And she's like, no, we gonna be in this, but he not worth it, you know. And so I think it's generational. Our grandparents didn't tell our mother something, and so our mothers didn't tell us, and so it becomes a cycle. And I think our generation is like, yeah, no, I ain't gonna deal with that. You know, like we're finally getting it. So I think that's actually where it come from. So it's just like the trauma that we experience or the wealth or whatever is passed down. Just like the turkey and dressing, you know, that recipe is passed down. So can sometimes bad advice. And so I think that a lot of it is that we don't, that our parents, like they just kind of sat in it because it was comfortable and what they knew, and we're starting to know better, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, what you said resonated with me. I don't have children, but you're like, I have to teach my two girls and things like this. Like, you're like, okay, I read this and I already knew there's something that I had to do, but now like this is reaffirming, and this is like telling me to be as intentional as I can, which I think there's so many benefits to reading other people's story. And I won't go into like why I love books and why I love doing that so much, but like I love that you said that. I love that you said, like, you know, I'm teaching my girls, because that is true. We didn't talk. You were talking about the turkey and dressing recipe, and, you know, quick story. I read a story about how a family, like the grandmother cut the butt off the ham, right? So then the mom cut the butt off the ham, and then, you know, the daughter finally asked, like, why do we cut the butt off the ham? Like, why don't we just put the whole ham in there? And then they had to go all the way to the grandmother for the grandmother to say, oh, it didn't fit. The ham never fit in the pan. So she had to cut it so the ham could fit, right? But like, the mother never asked. She just saw her mother cut the butt off the ham and put it in, right? And then, and so it's like things like that, you know, like those things get passed down. We never talk about it. Right, crazy. I mean, it's something as simple as that. Something as simple as that. But like, we are, and so I'm gonna read this in the chat, because I think this is true of women. Period. Oh, along with what we're talking about, I think I didn't have the tools to recognize that the behavior was unacceptable and how to not tolerate it. I was taught to please others. I was taught to please others and take care of them, and I thought I needed to stay to help him be better, and had to learn how to say no. And so there's another one. Like, how do we know? Okay, you should stay because this person is progressing. Like, everybody, you're not going to meet everybody, and you're going to be at the same like healed place, right? So how do we know? Okay, this is somebody that I can, you know, be there with and like help them through the journey. And then how do you know, like, okay, this person's not there yet, and I need to save myself before I get too attached?
Yeah, the comment, I had to learn how to say no, is always so hard for us. You know, like, it's so hard for us to say no. What I've noticed in my work is that if you are struggling emotionally, physically, mentally, and even spiritually, it's gotta go, you know, because your whole self is not functioning. And so even one part of that, because it then like tailors to the next thing. So if something is hurting you with your work or your boyfriend or even your children, sometimes they gotta go sit down. But even in those areas, if you feel like it's hurting or harming you in those and it may not necessarily be like a it can be a depression, or it could be like a physical illness, or I'm just not eating right, or sleeping, like something has to give. And so saying no is actually more beneficial than not, because you can survive and function in those areas of your life by setting boundaries that we also struggle with, because nobody's taught us how to set clear boundaries.
Right. Oh, I agree. Like, the boundary conversation is so huge, because we are, especially Black women, what I'm learning is like, we definitely have been taught to put everybody else first and deal with everybody else's stuff. And it's like, and if we're not, then we're not strong and stuff like that. And it's like what you were saying, you know, if you say no, like your tank is empty, right? And you say no, and you spend some time on yourself, and you get full again, then you have more to give. But like we've been taught as Black women to, like, you got the bear, you got the backwash, you got everything, but whatever, like you found out how to split that up and give it to everybody, which is just hasn't historically been fair to women, to Black women. I'm just like, I love what you said about our generation. Like, we're asking, like, why do we cut the butt off the ham? Like, why do we have to do this? Why do we have to do that? Like, this generation, it just amazes me. And it's like, I'm happy to be a part of it because we're asking questions, we're saying no. Like, you know, everybody else is saying, I had to learn how to say no too. We're 31 plus years old learning how to say no. You know what I'm saying? And so, again, like your daughters, and you know, our daughters, other people's daughters are the generation that gets the benefit from these, like, women who are just learning how to, like, take care of themselves, because if you take care of yourself, you take care of everybody else.
That's right. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So I appreciate everybody who is learning how to say no, because it's really, really important. It's really important.
Right. Does anybody have anything to add? Anybody got a story? A story. I like stories.
I know we got a story about a ride or die.
I know, everybody got a story about a ride or die. We can do a Zoom on, let's talk about these terrible ride or die situations that never works out in our favor. Until we get broken down, like they might, like, you know, then you see your auntie and then she get broken down. And she gets broken down to the point where it's like, well, you done beat the man down and you beat him down enough. Like, I don't care about that relationship. So
or even that dude that, like, you thought you were ride or die, you see him like 10, 15 years later, and you be like, ooh, what was I thinking?
I'm riding for that.
Oh my goodness.
Like,
oh my goodness.
That's what I was going crazy over. That's what I was crying about.
Yeah. And all he cared about now is some Jordans.
Some Jordans. All right, we have another giveaway. Definitely keep talking in the chat, y'all. And please, if you want to chime in, you are more than welcome to speak and chime in. We have another giveaway. This one is actually courtesy of Ashley. It is a $25 Amazon gift card, so you can still buy books off of Amazon, but you can buy bookcase. All right. And so if I pick one, it's because that person isn't here. So don't think, like I said, I'm playing favorites. Nelly P. $25 Amazon gift card. Dope. I think, oh no. Hey, Nelly. Okay, I love you. I would love for you to speak even a little bit about how, because you have a brand. I reached out to you. That's somebody that said I reached out to, and you know, share something quick for us for motivational purposes, if you would like.
So you want me to say what now?
You know, so we were talking about dreams, right? And like following our dreams, or like stepping outside the box, because that's usually where our dreams lie, outside the box. And can you say something a little bit about your brand, a little bit about how you stepped out the box and did what you did?
Oh yeah, sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Well, I'm a motivational content creator, and I post something motivational every day for the most part, except for the weekends. I let people go to church on Sundays and I chill out and refresh my brain. But in regards to like branding, it's like you said, just Skell. It's like one of those things where you just got to do it. You can't be scared to do it, and you can't be scared to ask anybody for help. I think that's probably one thing. Like, we ask questions about everything, our generation, but at the same time, we scared to ask for help, which is kind of weird. But that's one thing that I just woke up one day and it was just one of those things like, okay, I got to do this. Like, I'm clearly goal oriented and driven towards this thing. The hard part about branding though is just making it your own and staying consistent to your brand. And
That makes sense.
really praying, because God will always bring the right people, even in those times where you may be scared to ask for help. God always puts a ram in the bush. I say that all the time. Like, it's always something that's gonna happen for you to fall in place where you are. And that's when you really know you're aligning with your purpose. And that's when you really know, like, this is it. Because God always prepares the way for us. And since he's prepared it for us already, as we go, when we hit them check marks, it's just gonna keep falling into place. So that's something that I have to say to myself, like, as long as everything is making sense, don't stop. Even when it don't make sense, because the next day it's gonna make sense. You just got to stay dedicated to your purpose, your vision, and you can't care about what anybody has to say about it, because it's your thing and it's not theirs. So yeah, that's just my own piece for myself. Especially with motivation, you see a lot of people trying to motivate in different ways. And sometimes you can just feel like you being drowned out by what everybody else is doing. But, you know, it'll constantly be, like I said, it'll always be something there to remind you, something there to keep pushing you so you don't stop. So y'all just don't stop. Whoever's doing something, whoever's trying something, just stick with it. Because if it's supposed to work, it's going to work. And it is what it is. It's that simple. That's my spiel.
Yes. Okay, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Speak. That was amazing. And I agree. I like what you said about, you know, if you have a vision, right, it might not make sense to somebody else because it's not their vision. And so while you selling what you want out of life to these people, and they, you know, people kind of see you for, like, only through their lens, right? Oh, they only see you as far as they can see themselves. So, like, if they done failed at something, or they want to do something but they're too scared, and you come to them with your idea, then more than likely they're going to talk you out of your idea, because they can't see themselves doing something, thinking outside the box, moving outside of this box, right? So I'm definitely glad that you said that. Like, for me, I'm writing a book. I said I'm going to write a book, right? And I'm not gonna say who said it, but somebody was like, well, you're not LeBron. You're not somebody like LeBron. Like, we want to hear LeBron's story, like, but, you know, you're not famous enough for people to hear your story. And I was like, thank you for the advice, but no, I'm not receiving that. Like, you can have it right back. I am not receiving that, because, like, why do I have to be LeBron? I said, there's so many people who wrote so many books, and, like, only LeBron's book get read. Like, no, I'm not taking that. So, you know, but I had to have been in a place, like, thank God I'm in a place to where, like, I'm not as I'm not leaning on other people to make my dreams come true. So I definitely Nelly said she got to go, so I appreciate that she was able to step in and give us that word, because that was a word.
That was a word. I was right on time.
Okay. I told that, I was like, girl, you better. All right. So this chapter is called Burning Out. Okay. So there is no glory in a grind that literally grinds you down to dust.
Woo.
That one hit. That's by Eve Ewing. Okay. And this is Elaine's words. I learned the hard way that there is a thin line between being a hard worker and a workaholic. Someone who buries herself in work and inadvertently avoids participating in her own life. In hindsight, it is clear that I've always possessed tendencies towards the latter. What began early on as a kid's overreaction to her parents' struggles manifested in a fear of failure that drove me into a relentless, myopic race with myself, one that had no end in sight. I found myself in a pattern of perfectionism, always striving, even for what would ultimately prove to be futile missions, relationships that became toxic, and jobs I had outgrown. When you are invested in building something you believe in, and you know there is no safety net if you fail, it is all too easy to lose perspective. It is by no means a bad thing to be ambitious, but I needed to develop healthier habits in order to be truly successful.
Ooh, child.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it just hit. Like, I really felt like I was reading sometimes like myself. Like, I'm reading myself. You know, so Ashley, what do you think? Like, let's talk about burning out, especially like I said, like, you know, I feel like so many of these topics just are just about being a Black woman, period. So like,
Yeah.
let me know what you think.
So I think this one was really hard for me. So I'm sharing. So I'm virtual learning and running my practice and still working full time and still trying to like love on my family and love on myself and be social and I need these kind of conversations. And like last week, I really had a breakdown and I was like, I'm tired. I'm doing too much. Like I woke up and maybe 10 minutes later, like I was in tears, because I'm like, it's too much. And I don't think I asked for help. Let me be transparent. But I also realized that like, I was I couldn't name that I was burnt out because you just run off fumes, like we said, like we're taught that like you elbow grease everything and that you like scrape the bottom and you like do what you can, and it's to our detriment. And I think Elaine even realized, like when her doctor is like, like you're always going to the bathroom, like, these signs that we possibly experience could be something like depression or anxiety, and we don't know it because we're just running on fumes. And I think as there's a book, and it's somewhere on my bookshelf, but Shaquita Walker Barnes talks about the Black woman syndrome, and it's just basically where we like keep going without pausing, and it's to our detriment. And I think I think again, based on all the conversations that we talked about, like it's really important that we simply say no so that we can function in our own individual lives. We're so busy taking care of everybody else, and who's taking care of us? And so this one was, I struggled to get through it because it was me. And again, burning out is just like boundaries and saying no, all of it, all is encompassed in that. And so I actually struggled with this chapter because she was talking to me in this moment. So yeah. Yeah.
I can relate. I can relate so much to it because, prior to, the COVID-19 pandemic, right? I was doing everything and being everywhere and not being productive. I was like, I can go to the party and then I can go and babysit and then I can go and do this, I can go and do that. But it's like I was not doing anything to progress myself. Like I read 10 books last year, and not say that's a bad thing at all, but because of I was so busy doing everything else, I didn't accomplish my goal. And that's like at the lower end of the spectrum. But like Elaine, she's saying that like you were alluding to, right? So I'm gonna just read what the word the sentence says. Still, I had all kinds of excuses. I was simply too busy to eat or pee, too busy to pay attention to my body, too busy to breathe. There was too much coming at me, and I don't. My stress manifests in another way. Like I get headaches. I get frequent headaches, and you're also sleeping. Like I took melatonin every day for a year.
Wow.
I would have to mix doses, right? So you got your 2.5, your 5, your 10. Sometimes I'm taking 20 because because of how many they have to come in. I'm taking 20 because I cannot sleep. I'm too busy thinking about everything else and everybody else, and not taking enough days at work, and afraid if I take a mental health day, what I'm coming back to. So I might as well just do all the work now and I can honestly say, like this year with COVID-19, I have not taken melatonin.
Wow.
I sit with Skell. I have the Black Business Corporate, and that was from shutting out all the noise. Like I shut out all the noise. I focus on myself. I focus on what I want to do, and like I'm living what I honestly feel like is in my purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was from shutting everything out and stop and burning out myself and putting it, like we've been saying, the other chapters, they all, it's like putting other people and their needs and what they want before me. And, you're not really getting the benefit from it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, the chat is lit. Like my
Okay,
life is
good. I really want y'all to speak. I really, cause I especially cause like, I know who these people, what they're saying, and I know you have a story, like you have something that I would be, I would hate to like be the one to tell your story, but this is like good stuff. My life has felt like a constant struggle with burnout. Busy work is not productive work. I had to learn that the very hard way. That very hard way.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Same. Yeah, like you, I realized. So this month has gotten so it's what's today, the 19th, and I'm really like so I'm used to like you, like I set a goal every month. Okay, I'm gonna do these 5 things. Or I'm gonna read a book. I was so drained on September 1st. I couldn't even like I'm just existing this month. Like I was like, oh, I'm gonna run, I think, and then I think I'm gonna jump rope. I can't even, and I even put it on my Instagram. I'm gonna do these things, and I'm too burnt out to even do those things. And so I think we have to be intentional. I read a statistic last week that said that African Americans, especially women, need more mental health days than any other racial ethnic group because of the racial trauma we experience. And we don't take them because we're afraid of what could happen if we're not there, the microaggressions at work. And so I'm encouraging, as the clinician, mental health.
Doctor said it, y'all. So you gotta take it.
Mental health days. One, because you're gonna lose them if you don't use them for some, whatever company you're in. But two, like and we've all seen this quote or know this, but if you die tomorrow, they will post your job next week. And so we have to be intentional to care for us because these organizations will not care for us. So we have to take those mental health days. We have to be intentional to care for ourselves because it is really toxic for us to not do that, especially in a pandemic. So we have got to be intentional about making our mental health days.
There is a group on Instagram. It's called the Nap Ministry. And I love it because it is the exact opposite of everything that they say we're supposed to be. Like we think we're supposed to be super productive. As Black people, we're told you got to work twice as hard to get half of what they have, right? Black women, you got to keep going. You got to take care of everybody. You got to do all these stuff. Black men, you know what I'm saying? So this is our resistance. And I feel like, like you were saying, with all the racial injustice, with everything going on, this is the best and biggest and most profound way that we as Black people can resist.
Yeah.
Because we're supposed to be everything but restful. We're supposed to be everything but peaceful and just all this stuff. And I think it's so much better for us to just rest, to not do anything, to take the mental health days. And COVID has told me, I kind of been unapologetically Black during this time with the rest. So I'm like, I'm telling you, like, hey, I'm taking a day tomorrow. I don't know what you're going to do to figure it out, but like I'm taking a day tomorrow because we have to rest. We have to get that rest. We are going through, so we were already going through trauma. I think it's now being like more realized. Like this stuff is triggering because we've been through it before. Like our spirit has been there before. It's been passed down through our ancestries, right? So like we're getting it, 4, 5, 6, 7-fold. It's not just what's going on today. It wasn't just the killings and the shootings today. It's the killings and shootings from 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever. So I feel like what you were saying, like Black people were dying earlier than our white counterparts because of, all the diabetes, high blood pressure, all the things that they say that we do have, but also because of our trauma. Like Elaine saying that she's too busy to she cannot pee. Like I'm saying my headaches, this stuff is harming us physically. It's emotional stuff, it's in our head, but it presents physically. And so, Black people are on their beds wishing they had did more, wishing I had spent more time with family, wishing I had took more breaks, wishing I had, traveled more, where our white counterparts who are dying later are, talking about being fulfilled in life. And I rebuke that. I'm not gonna let us, do that. I'm gonna preach and say whatever to whoever, because we do need to get to a point where we stop. My favorite new phrase, our respectability politics, from my line, Sister Allison, and do what's best for us.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Again, the chat is lit. And your body will force you to stop. Yes, that is key. And I don't think we recognize that enough, that when your body is tired, it will either you tell it that it's tired, or it's gonna tell you.
And if it tells you, you're going down. You're going down. It's a wrap. Because my body be like, oh, the headache won't enough? Well, here go a migraine.
All of that. Oh, you're not gonna take a day off? Okay, we're gonna make sure it's raining and you can't do what you need to do. All of that. We'll sit you down.
That knock where you carrying that heavy load, yeah, we're taking it out.
All the way.
You don't want to listen, I'm taking it out.
All the way out. All the way. So.
Oh, that is hilarious.
Yep. Yeah.
God, I want to go back up the chat. Some people said some really good stuff, I feel like. But one was I have learned to better utilize my my sick days. I'm not only going for me, I'm going for my daughter. Yes, I don't even imagine. You know what? I said, I do want to be a mom, but I was like, you know what? During this time, I'm glad that, social services is not knocking on my door, because I'm eating a peanut butter sandwich, but when my child don't eat. So shout out to the moms going through all of this.
Maybe
they eat a peanut butter sandwich, right?
Yep. Y'all are eating it. We'll put some meatballs in it or something. We'll make it fancy. But no, you gonna learn.
Right. Well, I get up y'all. I'm still working. I haven't stopped going into an office or whatever. I'm in healthcare, so that's another beast in itself, right? Yeah. But y'all, I've always rolled out of bed at the last minute and just put on my clothes. But I couldn't imagine during this time rolling out of bed, then got to get the chat. No, I'm just rolling out of bed. Sometimes y'all, my hair is it brushed? Y'all lucky. You're lucky that my hair's brushed today. And if it's not, mind your business.
Listen, I'm here. That's all that matters.
I'm here. That is all that matters. A lot of laughing. Teachers, oh my God, I couldn't even imagine during this time for teachers. Thank you. People tell me thank you for your service. Thank you for your service, teachers. God, during this hectic time. So I have another giveaway, our last giveaway. This one is always dear to my heart, right? The teacher said they're struggling. This one's always dear to my heart. It is a bookmark, right? Sit with Skell bookmark. So I have the books that I have done Sit with Skell videos on. And so if you ever do read them, there's a box to check off, and then there's lines at the bottom for you to add whatever book you're reading. So everybody, thank you for giving me your addresses, hopefully, because you'll get the bookmark. And if you have it, and for some reason I do not have your address, text it to me, DM me, anything else. Does anybody, like you said, the chat is lit, but does anybody have anything they want to say, anything they want to add? I do want to ask everybody, if you put in the chat, or you can chime in, but what is one thing that you would tell your younger self? You go back and minister to your younger self. What would you say to her?
I love that.
Yes, guys. What would you say to her or him?
You can talk. All right, I'll talk.
Yeah, go ahead, girl. Hey, Kiera.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for asking.
Good. I'll say it this way. I would probably tell myself to be delivered from people, because People will have you doing things that will have you looking crazy because they said that it mattered or that this is what you should be doing. So I would say being deliberate from people will probably be the best thing. Not trying to appease other people, but doing what's best for you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
dope.
Yeah.
That's dope.
That's super dope. Yeah.
Focus on one thing at a time and be good at that before jumping into somebody else, something else, or somebody else. Stay the course. It gets better. I think like I struggled and struggle with like perfectionism. And I would just tell my younger self that, you know, everything's gonna be all right. Like you don't have to be anything that you don't want to be. I feel like I was like, you know, I did these things because if I do this, then people will say this. And if I get good grades, then my parents are gonna feel this way. If I make this shot in the basketball game, then the fans are gonna say this. And it was just always for other people and living for other people. And if I messed up the perfectionism in me, then I'm letting other people down. And this just doing all these things this whole time I was letting myself down because I was not focusing on what I wanted to do and who I wanted to be. I wanted to be what everybody else wanted me to be. And so definitely, yeah, developed a lot of like, you know, depression, anxiety, like all those things, because like who wouldn't trying to please everybody else when there's absolutely no way. And so, you know, pleasing myself would have took me way further quicker, you know. Do the things that I wanted to do, not rush things, be patient, do what makes you happy, be yourself, definitely.
Yeah, these are really good. Fear stopped me from so much growing up, and Lord knows I regret it. I agree with that one. I would say take the risk because it's probably better on the other side than you imagine.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So again, Ashley, thank you so much for everything. Thank you for being so accessible. Thank you for you know, agreeing to do this, you know, because I'm sure, especially, you know, I know my therapist is telehealth. So I know, and then for everybody just always being on Zoom and stuff like that, this is not in my experience, but I just hear you like you can get burned out from just looking at these little screens all day. So I really thank you for agreeing to do this with me. Like it means a lot. It really does.
You picked an amazing book, so thank you.
Thank all of you guys for joining us. Like this was great. Like she said, the chat was lit. Definitely enjoyed that. If we can we take a group picture?
Yeah.
Getting out of these squares and we take a group picture. All right, I see y'all, everybody. Okay, I'm gonna give y'all like 2 more seconds. Cause I know I told y'all I was gonna get y'all Rams out for homecoming, and I did. We got 2 minutes to spare. So thank you guys again so much. If you take a picture, please hashtag sitting with Skell and Ashley so I can put it on my social media as well. Thank you again. Please look out for the next Sit with Skell event. My video, I took a mid-season break to get all this stuff together. So my next video will be out on Thursday. So if you could like it, comment, share, follow Sit with Skell on YouTube and tell your friends. Okay, so, all right, on 3, everybody. 1, 2, 3. All right, make sure I have your, JJ, is that a mask? 2020. Make sure I have your address for anybody that did not send it to me in the Google form. And thank you. See y'all Rams in homecoming. In virtual homecoming. Thank you. I love you guys. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.